Spider-Man, one of Marvel's most iconic and popular heroes. One could argue that any action figure collection, and even the Marvel Universe itself, would be incomplete without this wily, web-slinging character. When it comes to toys, there are a ton of Spider-Man figures to choose from. In our collection of 1/18 scale figures, we have well over 20, and there are many others in scale that we don't have. In this video, we'll be looking at what I consider to be the best of the classic suited Spider-Man action figures in the 4-inch scale. Before we begin, jump in the comments and let us know if you have any Spider-Man figure in your collection. Which is it? And if you don't, hopefully this video will help you decide on one so you can add a web color to your superhero lineup. Honorable mentions before we get into the top 5. San Diego Comic-Con Spider-Man, super flexible, is highly articulated, and just a great sculpt overall. He's super rare and really expensive if you try to find him. You might get him on a good deal, but I have not been able to. The second one is the Series 4 Spider-Man, which is a copy or same style as the Miles Morales. He just has a perfect size, and his articulation is phenomenal as well. I just don't have him on hand either, but I know it's the same style as the Miles Morales, which I really enjoy, and the height is perfect. So those are my honorable mentions. Let's jump into the top 5. Alright, so let's begin with the Marvel Universe Spider-Man. Thin Buck came in the 2-pack with Captain Britain, and I just really enjoy this one. He does not have any sculpt as far as his web design or outfit. He has some sculpt around the eyes, but the flexibility of this character, this figure, is pretty good. Head rotates. He has a nice diaphragm bend there. Of course, it has swivels there, and kind of goes up, down. Then we have the arms, which has the the ball joint there, and the bicep swivel. Swivels all the way around. Elbow joint goes past 90 degrees, which is great, and then also has the wrist articulation, so as well. The legs are great, and they actually have a thigh cut, if you see that there, and double jointed knees, of course, but that thigh cut's pretty, that's why he's number 5, because of that thigh cut. The ankle rocker is pretty simple. It's a swivel and not a rocker, it's a swivel and hinge there. So just a good figure. You can definitely articulate really well, and the only thing that's kind of down on him is the lack of sculpt in his webbing, but because of his articulation, I think he's good. You can also notice though, I replaced his head with a different head, I think with the House of M head. His size here is a little tall for Spider-Man. Spider-Man's supposed to be 5'10", but the body of this Spider-Man is thin, and there's another similar Spider-Man that has the same type of articulation points that's based off of the Cyclops style Buck, which is a little bit bulkier. So this is why I like this one a little bit better, because he's thinner and he has all that articulation points. But his height is a little bit too high, but that's okay. Second is the Spider-Man Homecoming Marvel Legends. This is the Tom Holland, I think that's his name. Yeah, Tom Holland, Spider-Man. And this is a great figure for several reasons. Look at all the sculpt here. There's the webbing on the uniform, sculpted in the logo there, is sculpted on the back, and there's some decent articulation as well. We'll see that in a second. But that webbing design just hits the button pretty well. Great flexibility on the head, on the neck, tilts and swivels. Then you have the ball joint there at the shoulder. No bicep swivel. Elbow joint is pretty good. Well, actually, it's actually lacking there. But because of the sculpt and the size, which you'll see in a second, this is why he's on the list. And his legs flex pretty well. Do splits to that much. Has double jointed knees, plus the joints go about that much. Pretty good. And then you have a rocker ankle. Downside for this, 2 things: no swivel on the ankle or swivel on the wrist, which is a down. It's kind of a bummer. But where this really is on point is the height. He's at 5'10", so because of his height and the sculpting on this one, he's definitely up there on the list here. He's number 4, and I'm appreciating of the height. I like accuracy to comics, so this one's pretty accurate to height. And like I said, the sculpt, I mean, you just can't get, this sculpt is just great. It's a good sculpt. So take a look at that again. Here's the front from the back side. And yeah, I just really appreciate the sculpt. You see the sculpt in the legs, just, it's not smooth, it has that texture feeling, so I appreciate it. Next one is the Marvel Universe Spider-Man, and this one is really sculpted pretty well too. And it's similar to the Marvel Legends Homecoming Spider-Man, a lot of sculpts, and I really appreciate that for sure. And there's a lot of variants there. You'll see them on the right side there. And this is probably one of the better Spider-Mans, and he's been duplicated many times with Marvel Universe for good reason. He has good swivel there at the torso, and his head's pretty good on the rotation, and goes a little bit up and down. He has bicep swivel there with the shoulder joints. Shoulder joints go about that high. Bicep swivel plus the elbow joint there, and there's a bicep right there. Can't beat that. There's the elbow joint, goes up to about there. Does a lot better than that Legends, which makes him, that's why he's above that figure there. And of course he has the whipping pose there, and these wrists articulate. So, and you see the sculpt there on the back of that emblem. I appreciate that so much. Legs are good, go back that much. They do splits there, double jointed knees, goes out there, ankle swivel and pivot. Unfortunately, it's not a rocker, but other than that, the ankle joints, if they had more of a rocker, that'd be great. There's another variant right there. It's the dark variant. The upside to this one is definitely the height as well, even though he's a little bit shorter than he needs to be. He's probably, he sits between 5'6" and 5'10" in the scale, but that's okay. I would take a shorter Spider-Man with this articulation and this sculpt and body design any day for sure. Next up is the Amazing Spider-Man. This one is super flexible. The sculpt is pretty amazing, and I mean the texture on the blue parts of his uniform, I mean, it's just phenomenal. This is kind of how I imagine having the San Diego Comic-Con Spider-Man looking. Just the textures on him, great. His neck goes up and down like that. Swivel's good. It has bicep swivel, shoulder, ball joint, double jointed elbows, which is great. It allows him to do some pretty phenomenal things. Then he has this wrist articulation here. Downside for this one, with the neck as well, these pieces of the O-rings on this plastic snapped on me, and so and the neck as well, the head I should say, and that's kind of a downside. But the sculpt here, look at that back sculpt. I love that back sculpt. There's the other side of wrist articulation there. Just a great figure, and super articulate. Has a lot of articulation. Has that chest diaphragm, ball jointed hips, which is kind of a downside, but also can be a positive. Just depends on how you look at it. I like the ball joints. I do like the T-bars a little bit better for posability, because you don't have to play with all this swiveling and having to get it lined up right. But it's not bad. I just don't. I'd prefer the T-bar ball joint, double jointed knees there, and then rocker swivel. Another downside besides the breaking of the joints is no calf swivel, or calf, where you can twist his calf a little bit. And the second downside, so the joints break, the calf articulation could be better, so that way it swivels a little better, and his height just a little bit off, but not bad. You know, if that last one before this one gets a knock on for being too short, this one same amount of space for being too tall. So what is next? We got the Marvel Legends Showdown Spider-Man, and this is definitely my favorite, for a good reason. Look at the sculpt, as every part of him is sculpted, and the thinness of his body just reminds me of Peter Parker, you know, and the Spider-Man you see in comics and the show back in the 90s. I was able to give him a little bit more neck articulation there, but originally he couldn't go up and down as much, but he does swivel there. You just got to do some work on the neck. Arms go up to that much. These arms come off pretty easily, and I actually added some articulation. You'll see that in a second, but they have bicep swivel, and it goes just like that. Double jointed elbows, so it's just like the Amazing Spider-Man, so you can do some pretty phenomenal posing there. Then of course you have the wrist articulation, both the swivel there at the, you know, basically the forearm, and then the wrist articulation. There's just whipping his hand, and again, look at that, the sculpt there. You just see the lines on that Spider-Man is great. Has a torso rocker there, plus a little bit at the hips. There's the arm, and if you see there, I put a little bit of cut into a little bit more, so that way he can raise those arms up a little bit more to that point. Out of the box, they don't raise that high without that cut in that arm. Legs, they have a ball, T-bar with a ball and socket, and then he has a thigh cut swivel there, which is great, which is one of the reasons this is a great figure. Double jointed knees, plus calf swivel, and then not a rocker joint, but a swivel and pin joint there. And this pin is not really a pin, it's a ball and swivel joint, which gives kind of an effect of a rocker. You can see I put some magnets there, so that way you can climb on walls and stuff. So what is his height? Let's check it out. Here we go. He stands just above 5'10", which makes him the man. And I put on a hat for him because, you know, Spider-Man can wear a hat every once in a while, right? So yeah, he's right above 5'10", and that bodes well for the scale. And I really appreciate that, because, like I said, I really appreciate accuracy to scale. So we're at 1/18 scale. 1/18 of 5'10" is at this point. I'll put the numbers here below, but he's right above it. But because of his articulation, one, and because of the sculpt, he's the last one we're going to look at here. So who would you pick of all these here? Which would you choose? For me, one that stands out is the Showdown Spider-Man. To wrap up, you've highlighted the top contenders in the 1/18 scale action figure realm and what makes each unique, from sprawling intricate details and sculpt to articulation to their height and scale. These figures truly set the bar for Spider-Man collectibles. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our other toy reviews and let us know in the comments which Spider-Man figure is your favorite. Thanks for hanging here at Figures Out. If you enjoyed this video, you may want to see these and about 20 other Spider-Man figures test drive the infamous Spider Cycle. That video coming up here soon. Until we hang out again, taking toys beyond the blister in the box, this is Thorough for Figures Out, sending blessings to you and yours as you have fun collecting, customizing, and living in gratitude wherever you're at. Peace.